Once upon a time, in a peaceful village surrounded by green fields and tall trees, there lived a young boy named Adam. He was known by everyone for his gentle heart and cheerful smile. Adam lived with his parents in a small house near the river. His family was not rich, but they were happy because they always valued honesty, hard work, and kindness. Every morning, Adam would wake up early to help his father in the garden before going to school. He watered the plants, fed the chickens, and cleaned the yard. After finishing his chores, he would walk to school with his friends. Along the way, he greeted everyone he met, from farmers working in the fields to elderly people sitting outside their homes. One cold winter morning, Adam noticed an old woman sitting alone near the market. She looked tired and shivered from the cold wind. Most people walked past her without paying attention because they were busy with their own work. Adam stopped and approached her politely. "Good morning, ma'am. Are you all right?" he asked. The old woman smiled weakly and replied, "I am fine, my child, but I have been sitting here for hours. I came to sell some vegetables, but no one has bought anything yet." Adam looked at the basket beside her. It was full of fresh vegetables. "I don't have much money," Adam said, "but I can help you." He took the basket and walked around the market, telling people about the vegetables. Because many villagers knew Adam and trusted him, they gladly bought the vegetables. Within an hour, the basket was empty. The old woman was overjoyed. "Thank you, my child," she said. "You have helped me more than you know." Adam simply smiled and returned to school. That afternoon, his teacher announced a special project. Every student had to write about an important value in life. Many students chose success, wealth, or intelligence. Adam chose kindness. When it was his turn to present, he said, "Kindness is important because it costs nothing, but it can mean everything to someone who needs help." His classmates listened carefully. The teacher nodded with pride. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Adam continued helping others whenever he could. One day, while walking home from school, he found a lost puppy near the riverbank. The puppy looked hungry and frightened. Adam gently picked it up and took it home. His mother gave the puppy some food and water. "We cannot keep it forever," she said. "It probably belongs to someone." The next day, Adam asked around the village. After searching for several hours, he found the owner, a little girl named Emma. Emma had been crying for days because she thought she would never see her puppy again. When Adam returned the puppy, she hugged it tightly. "Thank you," she exclaimed. "I don't know what I would have done without him." Adam felt happy seeing her smile. As the years passed, Adam became known throughout the village for his kindness. Whenever someone needed help carrying something heavy, fixing a fence, or finding a lost item, Adam was always ready to assist. One summer, a severe storm struck the village. Strong winds damaged many houses, and heavy rain flooded the roads. After the storm ended, the villagers began repairing the damage. Adam spent every day helping his neighbors. He carried wood, cleaned debris, and delivered food to families whose homes had been damaged. Although he was exhausted, he never complained. One evening, while helping an elderly man repair his roof, Adam accidentally injured his hand. The elderly man looked concerned. "You should go home and rest," he said. Adam smiled. "I will rest later. There are still people who need help." The old man shook his head in admiration. Years later, Adam finished school and became a teacher in the same village. Unlike many teachers who focused only on lessons, Adam taught his students the importance of compassion and generosity. He often told them stories about helping others. One day, he gave his students a challenge. For 1 week, he said, perform at least one act of kindness every day and write about it. The students were excited. After a week, they returned with amazing stories. One student had helped an elderly neighbor carry groceries. Another had shared lunch with a classmate who forgot theirs. A third had spent time reading books to a younger sibling. Adam realized that kindness was spreading throughout the village. Meanwhile, the village itself was changing. People became more willing to help one another. Neighbors shared tools, supported struggling families, and worked together during difficult times. Many villagers credited Adam for inspiring this change. But Adam always replied, "I only planted a seed. Everyone else helped it grow." One autumn afternoon, a wealthy businessman visited the village. He was looking for a place to build a factory. As he walked through the village, he noticed something unusual. People greeted each other warmly. Children helped elderly residents cross the street. Shopkeepers treated customers with respect. The businessman was impressed. He asked a local resident, "Why is everyone here so kind?" The resident smiled. "Because kindness has become part of our way of life." The businessman decided to invest in the village, creating jobs and opportunities for many families. The villagers celebrated the good news. Once again, Adam reminded everyone that cooperation and kindness had made the village strong. As Adam grew older, he never stopped helping others. Even when his hair turned gray, he continued teaching and serving his community. One winter evening, a traveler arrived in the village during a snowstorm. The traveler had no place to stay and very little money. Adam welcomed him into his home. He offered him a warm meal and a comfortable bed. The traveler was deeply grateful. The next morning, before leaving, he said, "You have shown me kindness when I needed it most. I will never forget it." Years later, that traveler became a successful businessman. Remembering Adam's generosity, he returned to the village and donated money to build a library. The library provided education and opportunities for generations of children. When people asked why he made such a generous donation, he answered, "Because one man's kindness changed my life." Adam's story spread far beyond the village. People from neighboring towns came to learn about the community where kindness flourished. Some expected to find extraordinary wealth or advanced technology. Instead, they found ordinary people treating each other with respect and compassion. Many visitors returned home inspired to make positive changes in their own communities. As time passed, Adam became a symbol of kindness. Yet he remained humble. Whenever someone praised him, he simply said, "Anyone can be kind. It is a choice we make every day." Eventually, Adam became very old. One evening, he sat beneath a large oak tree overlooking the village. Children played nearby while families gathered together. The village was thriving. People looked after one another. No one felt alone during difficult times. Watching the scene, Adam smiled. He realized that kindness was more powerful than he had ever imagined. A single kind action had inspired another, and then another, creating a chain that transformed countless lives. When Adam passed away many years later, the entire village mourned his loss. Thousands of people attended a gathering in his honor. Former students shared stories about how he had encouraged them. Families spoke about the times he had helped them during hardships. Friends remembered his generosity and wisdom. At the end of the ceremony, the village leader addressed the crowd. "Adam taught us that greatness is not measured by wealth or power," he said. "It is measured by the kindness we show to others." The crowd nodded in agreement. Although Adam was gone, his legacy lived on. Children learned about him in school. Parents told his stories at home. Neighbors continued helping one another. And so, the spirit of kindness remained alive in the village for generations. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, reminded people of the lesson Adam had taught them. That a kind word, a helping hand, or a caring heart can change someone's life forever. The years continued to pass, but the values Adam had shared never faded. The village grew larger, new families arrived, and new challenges emerged. Yet the foundation of kindness remained strong. One day, a young boy named Daniel moved to the village with his family. He was shy and found it difficult to make friends. At his old school, he had often been ignored, and he worried that the same thing would happen again. On his first day, he sat alone during lunch. A student named Sarah noticed him. Remembering the lessons she had learned from her teachers about kindness, she walked over and said, "Would you like to sit with us?" Daniel hesitated but then nodded. That simple invitation changed everything. Within a few weeks, Daniel had many friends and felt at home in the village. Years later, he often said that one small act of kindness had given him confidence and happiness when he needed it most. And so the cycle continued, with each generation passing kindness on to the next, proving again and again that even the smallest good deed can create a brighter world for everyone. Daniel never forgot the kindness Sarah had shown him on his first day in the village. As he grew older, he tried to help others in the same way. Whenever he saw a new student sitting alone, he would introduce himself and make them feel welcome. One spring morning, Daniel was walking to school when he noticed a young boy sitting beside the road. The boy's clothes were dusty, and he looked upset. Daniel stopped and sat beside him. "Are you all right?" he asked. The boy wiped away a tear. "My name is Noah," he said softly. My family moved here recently. I haven't made any friends yet. Daniel smiled because he remembered feeling exactly the same way years ago. I know how that feels, he said. Come with me. I'll introduce you to some people. Noah followed him to school. By the end of the day, he had met several classmates and no longer felt alone. That evening, Noah told his parents about Daniel's kindness. His parents were grateful because they had been worried about how their son would adjust to the new environment. As months passed, Noah became one of Daniel's closest friends. One weekend, the school organized a community service event. Students and teachers worked together to clean the village park. Some students complained about spending their free time working. Daniel, however, saw it differently. This park belongs to all of us, he said. If we take care of it together, everyone benefits. His positive attitude inspired others. Soon, students who had been reluctant began helping enthusiastically. By the end of the day, the park looked beautiful. The grass was trimmed, the benches were repaired, and flowers had been planted near the entrance. Families visiting the park were delighted by the transformation. The village mayor praised the students. You have shown that when people work together with kindness and responsibility, great things can happen. Daniel felt proud, not because of the recognition, but because he had helped make the community better. Several years later, Daniel graduated from school and began working at the village library that had been built because of the travelers' donation years earlier. He loved books and enjoyed helping children discover the joy of reading. One afternoon, a girl named Lily entered the library. She looked nervous. Daniel approached her. Can I help you find something? He asked. Lily nodded. I need books for school, but reading is difficult for me. Instead of simply pointing her toward a shelf, Daniel spent time helping her choose books that matched her reading level. He encouraged her to practice a little every day. Over the next few months, Lily visited regularly. Slowly, her confidence improved. Eventually, she became one of the strongest readers in her class. At an awards ceremony, Lily received recognition for her academic improvement. When asked how she had achieved such success, she smiled and said, "Someone believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Daniel knew she was talking about him, but he remained humble. He understood that kindness often meant giving people the support they needed to discover their own abilities. Meanwhile, the village continued to prosper. The factory built years earlier provided employment for many residents. The library offered educational opportunities. The school expanded. Yet the people remained committed to helping one another. One year, a severe drought affected the region. Crops began to fail, and many farmers worried about their future. The situation was difficult. Instead of competing for limited resources, the villagers worked together. Families shared food. Business owners donated supplies. Volunteers helped farmers protect their remaining crops. Daniel spent his weekends organizing community support efforts. The drought lasted several months, but because of the villagers' cooperation, no family went hungry. When rain finally returned, everyone celebrated. The experience reminded them that kindness becomes even more important during hard times. Not long afterward, a young doctor named Emma arrived in the village. She had recently completed her medical training and wanted to serve a community where she could make a difference. Emma quickly noticed the village's unique culture. Patients treated one another with respect in the clinic waiting room. Neighbors checked on elderly residents. Children volunteered at community events. Curious about this atmosphere, Emma asked an older resident about it. The resident smiled. It all began many years ago with people who believed kindness should be part of everyday life. Emma embraced this philosophy. She often treated patients long after her official work hours had ended. If someone could not afford medicine, she helped them find assistance. Her compassion earned the trust and admiration of the entire village. One winter night, a snowstorm blocked the roads leading to the village. A pregnant woman suddenly became ill and needed medical attention. The situation was urgent. Several villagers worked together to clear a path through the snow. Others gathered supplies. Emma traveled through difficult conditions to reach the woman's home. Thanks to everyone's efforts, both the mother and baby remained safe. The family was overwhelmed with gratitude. That event became another example of how kindness and teamwork could save lives. Years passed. Daniel eventually became the head librarian. Emma became the village's most respected doctor. Noah started a small business that provided jobs for local residents. Each of them carried forward the values they had learned from those who came before them. One day, a journalist visited the village. She had heard stories about its remarkable sense of community and wanted to learn more. During her visit, she interviewed many residents. She expected to find a single secret behind the village's success. Instead, she discovered thousands of small acts of kindness happening every day. A shopkeeper quietly helping a struggling customer. Students tutoring younger children. Neighbors repairing a damaged fence together. Volunteers delivering meals to elderly residents. The journalist was amazed. After returning home, she wrote an article about the village. The article spread across the country. Many readers were inspired. Some schools introduced kindness programs. Businesses encouraged employees to support local charities. Communities organized volunteer projects. The influence of the village continued to grow. Meanwhile, Daniel often reflected on the stories he had heard about Adam, whose legacy had shaped so many lives. Although Daniel had never met him personally, he felt connected to him through the values that guided the village. One evening, Daniel organized a special event at the library. People of all ages gathered to share stories about acts of kindness that had changed their lives. One elderly woman spoke about a neighbor who had cared for her during an illness. A teacher described a student who stood up for a classmate being bullied. A businessman shared how a stranger's encouragement had helped him pursue his dreams. The stories continued late into the night. Many listeners laughed. Some cried. All were reminded of the power of compassion. After the event ended, Daniel looked around the room. He realized that every person present had both received and given kindness at some point in their life. That realization filled him with hope. Years later, technology brought many changes to the world. People communicated through phones and computers. Information traveled instantly across great distances. Despite these changes, the village maintained its values. Teachers reminded students that technology should be used to connect and help others, not to spread negativity. The younger generation embraced this lesson. They created online groups to support community projects. They raised funds for families facing emergencies. They shared educational resources with students who needed extra help. Kindness adapted to modern times without losing its essence. One summer, a wildfire threatened nearby forests. Although the village itself was not directly affected, several neighboring communities suffered significant damage. Without hesitation, villagers organized relief efforts. Food, clothing, and supplies were collected. Volunteers traveled to assist affected families. Daniel coordinated donations through the library. Emma provided medical support. Noah arranged transportation for supplies. Together, they helped hundreds of people recover from the disaster. Many survivors later said they had been deeply touched by the generosity of strangers. As the years continued, children who had grown up hearing stories about kindness became adults. Some became teachers. Others became doctors, engineers, artists, or farmers. Regardless of their profession, they carried the same values with them. Wherever they went, they tried to make a positive difference. One former resident moved to a large city. At first, he felt overwhelmed by the fast pace of urban life. People seemed busy and distant. Yet he remembered the lessons he had learned growing up. He began volunteering at a shelter. He helped organize neighborhood events. Gradually, he inspired others to become involved. Before long, his community became friendlier and more connected. Stories like this occurred again and again. The village's influence extended far beyond its borders. One day, many years after Daniel had first arrived as a shy child, he sat beneath the same oak tree where Adam had once reflected on his life. Children were playing nearby. Families were enjoying the evening. The village was thriving. Daniel thought about the chain of kindness stretching across generations. A kind boy had helped an elderly woman. His actions had inspired students. Those students had inspired others. The cycle had continued for decades. All because someone chose compassion over indifference. As the sun began to set, Daniel smiled. He understood something important. Kindness is not measured by the size of a gesture. Sometimes it is found in a smile, a kind word, or a few moments spent helping another person. Small acts may seem insignificant at first. Yet they have the power to grow into something extraordinary. The sky turned golden as evening approached. Children laughed. Birds sang. Neighbors greeted one another warmly. Looking at the peaceful scene, Daniel felt grateful. He knew that challenges would continue to arise in the future. There would always be difficulties, misunderstandings, and hardships. But as long as people continued choosing kindness, there would also be hope. And hope, when shared from one person to another, could illuminate even the darkest times. The story of kindness was far from over. With every new generation, another chapter would be written. With every helping hand, another life would be touched. With every act of compassion, the world would become a little brighter. And so the legacy continued, carried forward by ordinary people doing extraordinary things through simple acts of kindness.